Right now, I'm basically going to take you through the process of making a beat, how I do it. I don't have a method to my madness. It's just, I get inspired, I find a bunch of sounds, could be loops, could be drums, and I compile this shit until it makes sense. That's a fucking drum break, okay? I have a shorter snare to get that whole in-between note shit happening. A lot of these sounds aren't the way they are off records. I have snares triggering other snares. You gotta kind of figure out the right tuning for different snares and pitching, and does it work with the sample? Because you could have dope drums, but you gotta listen to the sounds that you have and make sure that it makes sense with it. You know what I'm saying? It sets a good foundation for me to find other sounds to kind of put a melody over that. So, you know, you just get the head nod happening just with the pianos. It's actually a mishmash of like 6 different records, which I like to do sometimes when I'm bored, instead of just having one loop, which is limiting. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I love looping shit because that's hip hop to me too. I gotta shut out P-Rock for this type of beat. While it doesn't sound like a P-Rock beat, the whole method of how I did it is inspired by him, because you're thinking outside of the box. Instead of just being like, hey, I'm gonna find one record and get some samples, and whatever's from this one song, I'm gonna use it. It's like, yo, let's push ourselves to really go in the crates and use 6 different songs that have nothing to do with each other key-wise and make this shit work. Like, to me, it's like a challenge. And instead of like having a beat, you're like, yo, I need some ill horns or a flute, let me jump to the keyboard and get some shit from that. It's like, you could do that and that'll work, but for me it's like, why don't I go find a real horn section, a real flute that was recorded, you know what I'm saying, on wax in the collection. And it takes time, but I think putting in that time for me makes all the difference for my beat sounding essentially like a real, like, band playing, you know? Shit you not, I'll spend hours just doing that for no reason, because eventually I'll play something by mistake, because I said I'm not classically trained. That makes sense that I'll actually lay down, chop up, and use. I have my own personal jam sessions by myself. My neighbors must get really annoyed because I'll play this shit really loud and just, you know. You are your sounds as a producer, you know what I'm saying? That's why after a couple of years you knew when you heard a Pete Rock beat, because there was things he did in his beats that made it a signature sound. And by building up your own unique catalog of sounds, you know, I can do the same thing, so when you hear a beat you're like, oh shit, that sounds like some Marco Polo shit.